Cao is currently co-head of the investment bank at Goldman Sachs, will be leaving the firm at the end of the year to take up a new role to run MSD Partners, the investing arm of the Michael Dell family office. His departure comes as a major surprise. He was a possible future CEO of Goldman. Based on conversations with multiple sources, I can reveal this has been in the works for about 5 months. And David Solomon, the CEO at Goldman, tried to convince Lem Cao to stay, but his mind was made up. They agreed he'd stay on until the end of the year with so much going on in 2020. And also that Lem Cao and Dell are looking to grow MSD Partners. They'll be seeking fresh outside capital when he joins mid-February. Lem Cao will be replaced as co-head of the investment bank by current co-head of global securities, Jim Esposito, who's been in markets for about 4 and 5 years, but had been in banking before that. His move may signal the two departments working closer together moving forward. He and Dan Dees will now be head of the investment bank at Goldman, and their first job is to focus on key clients where Lem Cao had very strong relationships, including Jack Dorsey at Twitter, Dara Khosrowshahi at Uber, Elon Musk at Tesla, and Mark Benioff at Salesforce. But since Lem Cao's moving to a new field of finance, not joining a rival, Goldman's relatively relaxed on that front. Previous heads, of course, of the investment banking arm, senior to Lem Cao, David Solomon and John Waldron, already on the phones, reassuring clients they're there for them. And in that regard, Sarah, particularly as well with the investment bank being perhaps the area where Goldman has the deepest of their various star quality benches, etc. They don't need to be too worried. It's not moving to a rival per se.
Would also just add that he helped implement that what David Solomon announced at Davos last year about adding they must have one female or minority member of the board to take a company public. It's something we talked about with him. He's been on the show a bunch. You mentioned, Wilfred, that Solomon tried to convince him to stay. Was he ever seen as a CEO candidate to replace Solomon? What did you mean by that?
Yeah, I think he's always been seen as a potential future CEO. The way I would differ with how some people have reported that this is not necessarily as a Solomon successor, because, of course, there's John Waldron between them and Stephen Scher as well as CFO. And, of course, David Solomon's only recently become CEO. I think you could angle that as part of the thinking potentially in Lem Cao's mind, that he's 51 and therefore the CEO role would require all sorts of hurdles to be overcome to get there. But I also don't think that was particularly his ambition. In terms of how David Solomon tried to convince him, I think was along the lines of, look, if you want to be an investor, come and do that with us. But conversations had already been had. Already things were decided. So that attempt to keep him was brief. And then unbelievably amicable over the last 4 or 5 months and making sure things were ready for the transition. Dell is one of Lem Cao's key clients. They know each other. They go back a long way. They even have houses near each other in Hawaii, I understand. I wonder whether they'll both work from there for a period of time when they can. But he leaves end of the year, starts his new role mid-February.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.